Well, it's another scorcher in the UK, and I'm back at base camp, and I've got a little project to show you. But before we get started, I'll just get the fire on, and I'm spoilt for choice at how I start it today. I could use a reflector or a magnifying glass or matches from the pound shop, but what I am going to use, or try and use, is charred punk wood and a steel with flint. And I made this steel from a piece of car coil spring. So I fashioned this down at Bisley when we were doing our forging, and it works. And I'm not sure what sort of steel that is, but it is suitable. So I'm going to try and throw sparks into the tin and get some of this charred punk wood going. It's only a small piece of flint. And I can't see the sparks in this brightness. Well, I have actually got a spark going. Just in this light you can't really see it. That piece of stuff there is actually burning. I'll just put a few little ones around it just to... Right, so I've been down to the pound shop and I've spent a £5, which is a lot of money for me. Jute string, because my balls of white cotton string, I'm on my last half ball now, so that will come in useful for string, so no change with that. Super glue, an amazing array of uses for super glue. Well, basically sticking things, but they can stick all sorts of things. So that doesn't need any explanation. These tea lights, I melt those down and make my little stoves. So that'll be one project I'll be doing with these. Illumination. Now I've seen some fantastic videos on various high-powered torches, and I've spent £1 on a rechargeable torch, which you can switch on and off. Little switch on the inside there, but it might want some modification to make it a little bit more robust and a little easier to carry. So that's going to be a little project in itself. And last but not least, I bought this, I don't know whether it's supposed to be a tablecloth or what. It's just a little bit short for a shemag, but I think we can press it into use as a shemag. Just take that water off the boil. I think we can press it into use as a shemag, but I'm not happy with the colour, so I thought I'd change the colour. But I've got a little bit of a problem there, in that it is only 30% cotton. So I'm not going to let that deter me, although I don't think it'll work out too well. So I'm going to go ahead and try and dye this. So I'm going to try and dye this green with nettles. You can dye with nettles green by just using the leaves, or yellow by using the roots. So because this has got so much polyester in it, so it probably won't take too well. Just to get an idea of how it should come out, I'm also going to dye this, or a part of this cotton, just to see how it would come out if it was 100% cotton. So the things I need are the item to dye, the nettles, the green leaves, a pan to dye it in, and vinegar, because what we're going to do before we start the dyeing process is we're going to treat the cloth in a 4:1 vinegar mix. So we've got four parts water and 1 part vinegar, and we'll just soak the material in that. With a stick so I don't burn my hands. And we'll just let that simmer for 3/4 of an hour or so. And I'll just put in my test piece as well. Put a bit more water in there, I think. I don't want the roots because the roots will give me yellow, and also I don't want to kill this nettle bed because it is quite useful. And yes, I have been stung. Probably need a few more than that, and I've got some more at the top of the garden. The cloth has now been in the vinegar water solution for well over an hour, so that's going to be done as good as it's going to get, and that now needs washing in clean water. But just before I start that process, I'm not happy with the greenness of the it's fairly greeny yellow. I'm just going to put a few more nettles in there. So hopefully by the time I get the cloths rinsed out, we'll have a half decent mixture. So I'll get a bucket of rainwater and I'll just start rinsing them out. So if I was doing multiple steepings, I would save this water, but as I'm not, I'm just going to get rid of it. But I'm not sure how toxic it'll be for the garden, so it's only vinegar, so I'll probably just put it down the drain. You can smell it, very vinegary smell about it. And there's a wasp homing in on it, I think. So this is just my test piece, because this is 100% cotton, whereas this is polyester, partly polyester, 30% cotton. So I'm not expecting any great change in this, but I am with this. I don't like wasting anything, so until I'm sure I know what I'm going to do with this, I'll just put it in here for now. Right then, so I don't want to tip that whole mess into here, I want to filter that somehow first. So I'll just go and get a sieve. And I'll probably need more liquid in here as well. So it is the following morning, so this has been in the dye and this water's warm, not hot but warm, because I have had the little stove under it for a while. And I don't think it's worked out too well. I wouldn't say that was green. This is the white cotton material. In fact, I'd say it's just taken the white off it really. Let's filter some of this dye out and see what sort of colour it is. What's going on here? And a bit of unevenness. So that was our dye. It is a definite green colour, darkish green. Yellowish green. And that will not get wasted because it will go onto the plants. So let's see how our dyeing came out. Well, that was white. It's now just a slightly darker white. So I'm not impressed. Oh, I didn't expect this to work very well because it's 70% polyester, but perhaps, well, it's hard to tell, isn't it, because there's still bits of nettle in there, but I'd say there's very little change in that, if any. Very little, if any, change. Handkerchief, very little if any change. So we're not fixing the dye to the cloth. So there's something wrong with the fixing of the dye to the cloth. Or the cloth itself. Certainly in the case of this, where this is mostly polyester, so I didn't expect much from this, but I did expect more from this and this. So maybe next time I'll try something a bit more like beetroot or elderberries. Elderberries, that'll be my next go. I'll try it with elderberries. Plant food, you could eat that, could eat it. I don't know what's been in some of this cloth though, so I don't really want to eat it. But you could eat that. If you were hungry you would eat it. That'll go on the compost heap, or straight onto the garden. I might put that straight onto the garden. Right, so I'll put these out to dry, but they're not going to change, are they? So that was an interesting experiment, but I'm going to regard that one as work in progress, and at the moment an almost total failure.